Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we got is hot. I'm your host, Zach Jackson. Our co-host, Justin, is here, and we got a special guest for us. Flex Time, appreciate you coming on, formerly known as Alex. I'll let you introduce yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. My name's Alex. But most people call me Frex Time. Guys in my sports circle here. Um, but yeah, no, I've from Belleville, up in here, in New Jersey, and I've been a Broncos fan pretty much my whole life, over 15 years now. When I was in fourth grade, I was about 10 years old. The elementary school I went to, the colors were orange and blue, and this was about the time when that Tim Tebow one play touchdown to Demarius Thomas in overtime against the Steelers in the 2010 playoffs happened. So everybody was talking about that, and again, like I said, they had my school colors, so I was like, yeah, that's my team right there. I'm gonna be a Broncos fan, for better or
That's
worse.
great. That's awesome, actually. That's funny.
Yeah,
Um,
and I've even been to Denver to a game before. I'm going to see them in Philly this year. Saw them twice at MetLife, and the 70 Bowl because I lived in Miami. More on that
nice.
later.
Awesome. All right, cool. So he'll be able to hopefully we can see the Denver Broncos take down the Eagles at that time when he goes there, because that will help my Cowboys out in our division if that happens. But other than that, guys, we're going to be doing our playoff predictions for this upcoming schedule, and we're going to start with Alex here. He's going to talk to you about his Denver Broncos, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Chargers. So let's get right into it. I'm going to have Alex share your screen. Here you go, and take it off.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the least important teams to the most important. So we'll talk about the last place Raiders here. Um, New England, that's gonna be interesting. I'm probably gonna take the Raiders just because they had that experience. New England still has a lot of rookies. They probably beat they're losing to the Chargers. They're gonna lose to Washington, of course. Chicago, that can be another interesting one. But I'm probably gonna take Chicago there just based off talent. They're gonna win in Indy, winning against the Titans. They're gonna lose to the Chiefs in Kansas City. They're gonna beat Jacksonville and lose to us. Cowboys. Oh man, I remember that 2021 Cowboys Raiders game was a good one. I'm probably gonna take the Cowboys there. Win in Cleveland, lose to the Chargers, lose to us again. Definitely lose to Philly, lose to Houston, probably lose to the Giants, but they're gonna beat the Chiefs week 18 because Kansas City usually rest starters, but I don't think that's gonna be the case this year. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Raiders.
Now, quick question, Alex, if you don't mind me asking. So with that entitled, where are they at in like, are they making the playoffs or are they like, nah, not this year? It's kind of a rebuilding year and maybe next year they'll be a little bit better. Obviously with new pieces that they got over the offseason this year.
Yeah, they're definitely not making the playoffs.
Okay.
They're going like, I mean, they really can go like 4-13, 5-12 again here, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I mean, maybe you know what? I'll give them a 7-10 floor because again, like I said, New England, Chicago can go either way. Okay, maybe I'll give them like a 6-11 again. You know,
Okay.
kind of in that ballpark.
Yeah. Okay. But they can compete though. It's not like they're going to get like stormed out the drain every like great team that comes in. You think they're going to compete or it's kind of going to be a blowout anytime that big teams come in?
I definitely think they're going to compete. Like I said, because Pete Carroll has like that much coaching experience. You know, you can never really be blown out of a game. You know, with experience like that. Geno Smith as well, been in the league for like 12 years. So the experience is going to allow them to not get blown out. But I also just don't think their defense is really bad, really across the board. We can even look at their depth chart here. Like, if you want to take a look at anyone outside of Max Crosby, who himself had a down year, like their defense is not that good, and they don't really have like explosive weapons outside of Myers Myers is the like least explosive weapon here outside of maybe Gene T, who hasn't looked good so far, and Bowers. But other than that, they're not going to be able to keep up.
Gotcha. Okay.
As for the Chargers here, they're going to be. I can see them going like 12-5 this year because they went 11-6 last year, so I could see them maybe winning an extra game, right? So they're probably going to split. They're going to split with the Chiefs. You know,
Hey,
they played
Alex,
in
not to cut
Brazil.
you off, but we can't see the Chargers schedule.
Got you right here. There we
You're
go.
good. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah. So I feel like they're gonna split it here against they're gonna split with the Chiefs. But the Chiefs, as of lately, have their number. They're probably gonna sweep the Raiders. So, and then I think they're gonna sweep with my Broncos as well, because both games last year, people don't remember, were both 1-score games, which is why I think we'll probably beat them in one of them. Probably gonna beat the Giants. Washington's gonna be interesting. Probably, I feel like they'll probably take Washington's going to take that because the Chargers' offense just isn't explosive enough compared to Washington. But Washington's defense kind of sucks too. They're going to beat the Dolphins. They're going to beat the Colts. I say they're going to lose to the Vikings because I feel like the Vikings just have a lot more talent than the Chargers do on on offense compared to the Chargers' defense. They're not going to cover Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson.
Mm.
That's a tough task for any defense, but you have to have the offense to match with them. So I think the Vikings take that. They're going to beat the Titans, Steelers, and Jags. Yeah, they go on a nice streak here against booty teams. And they can probably they'll definitely lose to the Eagles. Probably lose in Kansas City, and maybe beat them week 1 because Kansas City got embarrassed. So they're gonna beat the Cowboys. Texans, I think they want to run it back after that playoff game, but I really think the Texans are going to take that too, if they're healthy. So the Texans might not take it if they're all banged up. And at Denver, we're probably going to be playing for seeding at that point. So if it's in Denver, I'm going to take us. This is where it gets exciting right here for me. I'm going to show y'all the Chiefs schedule because – they're going to lose to the Chargers, lose to the Eagles, lose to the Giants, lose to the Ravens, beat the Jaguars, lose to the Lions. They're probably going to sweep the Raiders, lose at Washington, lose at Buffalo, lose in Denver. They're going to beat the Colts. They're going to beat the Cowboys because of that coaching matchup that I mentioned earlier. This time is between Andy Reid. Like, you're really going to trust Brian Schottenheimer to go up against Andy Reid and Sean Payton later on. I'll get to that. But yeah, Texans, if they're healthy, this looks like a 7-10, 8-9 team, maybe 9-8. Like, I'm just being real, just based off the talent that the Chiefs have or lack of. Just give me a minute here. It's taking a while. Rashee Rice has never had a 1,000-yard season. Xavier Worthy is a one-trick pony, in my opinion. Hollywood Brown's already injured. Jalen Royals is probably – I wanted him in the draft. He could be nasty. But, like, again, that's a rookie receiver. You know what I'm saying? In a group of, again, guys that maybe have like 800-900 yards. Travis Kelce's old. They got a rookie left tackle. I've never heard of this guy at guard before. And the rest of their O-line is just kind of like it's good. Jawan Taylor's not that good, though. Really, just Humphrey and Smith are the only good linemen left. Their defense, Chris Jones is literally the only real all-pro here. Maybe you could argue McDuffie too, but again, McDuffie will have those plays where it's like, damn, he really got toasted there. That never happens to PS2 though. I'm just saying. But Chamari Connor, Brian Cook, who the hell are these people? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think after that ass kicking they received in the Super Bowl, when I've been telling people for months that the team will look significantly different without ref help, they can't go back to helping him out like they did last year. So I really think the Chiefs probably going to go 8-9 and miss the playoffs. It's going to piss off a lot of people. So we'll wrap it up here with my Broncos, right? Not a good outing for the first team offense against San Francisco. I'm really hoping that's just some preseason rust. But I still have us going 12-5, honestly. I think we're going to beat Tennessee, Indianapolis. We're going to start off 4-0 here, right? I think we're going to beat the Chargers, and we're going to want revenge against the Bengals after what happened last season in overtime. We have a healthy defense now. And the Bengals offensive line, their defense just looks terrible in this preseason so far. And they played their first team. So I think we take that. Probably going to lose to the Eagles, unfortunately, the game I'm going to, because, right now, I think we're starting to get into that class with the Bills and Ravens, if we can keep up with them this year compared to last year where we got blown out by both. But I also don't think we're at the Eagles level yet. They were not the Eagles level either, if I'm being honest. But it's going to be a close game. I think there is an upset chance. There is a chance we beat them like 30-27 in overtime. But, again, I think it's going to be the opposite. We're just not going to be able to stop the run game or something like that. We're going to beat the Jets. We own the Jets. The Broncos and Giants is a game I'm excited for because you got Malik Neighbors versus Patrick Surtain. That's going to be a movie right there. But at the same time, I just don't think the Giants' offensive line, even with their improvements, are going to be able to withhold the Broncos' D-line, which had the most sacks in the league last year by like a lot, I think like 14 or something like that. So I think we take that. They're going to beat the Cowboys. We own the Cowboys. We're going to beat the Texans because that's a team that, we played them 2 years ago. And the playoffs are on the line, and Russell Wilson threw that game away for us. But we're going to want to show that we can hang with the Texans too. Sweep the Raiders. I say we can sweep the Chiefs, honestly. I really believe that. Really, if it wasn't for that blocked field goal, we would have swept them. But you also have to consider, we played the backups in the final week of last season, but we also beat them 24-9 with Russell Wilson when they were healthy. So we probably lose to Green Bay, honestly. I like their defense too. And they also just have a lot of explosive playmakers. They're going to keep up with our offense with their defense. We're going to beat Jacksonville and split with the Chargers. So I really think we can go 12-5 here. My bad if that was a lot. I'm also high.
Nah, you're good, dude. I have a question with Washington over there. Is that because I didn't hear that. Is that a game that you were predicting a loss or a win at Washington?
I'm taking that as a win.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I'll take it as a win because our defense is just that insanely good. Okay. Now let's look at Washington's defense. See who they got over here. Their D-line is mid. It's all right. They got old ass Bobby Wagner, 36-year-old Von Miller. This is a retirement center defense here. Trey Amos, who the hell is that, bro? Will Harris, who the hell is that? Quan Martin, who the hell is that? Marshawn Lattimore is, again, he's 32 years old now. Mike Sanistril is the only real good piece on this defense. I really don't think. And on top of that, we've seen in Atlanta when when Dan Quinn, when he coached Atlanta, even though he's one of the best defensive minds in football, when he's a head coach, his defenses tend to lag behind. So I think, and we also just have the power to be able to get to Jaden Daniels. Their offensive line is solid, but I really think that Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Zack Allen have that edge there. That's why I'm taking Knicks over JD5 that day.
Okay, well, that is one hell of a take on most. I would say pretty much everything I was kind of cool with until the Chiefs one. That one really was a little crazy. But hey, that's your picks. I'm going to let Justin go, and then I'll end with mine. Justin, I'll put yours up.
I'm sorry. I'm really, my bad. I took up too much time, but I know ball.
You're good. I
get into it.
No, that was perfect, dude. That was absolutely perfect. But I'm going to show Justin's right now.
Yep.
And if you could just do me a favor, Alex, at the end, I want to just rehash and re-go over your record. So if you could just, while Justin's talking, just get the records in, that would be great.
Got you. I'll start working on that. I'll start doing my little pen thing and got you.
Sounds good. All right, Justin, take it away. Let me know your picks. You're starting with the Chiefs.
I'm gonna start from the top of the division all the way down to the bottom. So at the end of the year, I have the Chiefs being 13-4. I have them beating the Chargers in week 1, beating the Eagles in week 2, beating the Giants in week 3. I think the Ravens get that week 4 game. The Chiefs will beat the Jags. I think the Lions take that dub over the Chiefs in Week 6. I think that the Chiefs are gonna sweep the Raiders this year anyway. So all right, we gotta get pencil in the Raiders as a win. I think they beat Washington, even though Washington's really good. I don't know, man. I still think the Chiefs win that somehow. Ref rules. Um, Week 9, I got the Bills winning. Then they go on their bye. I got the Broncos beating the Chiefs in Week 11 at home. I have the Chiefs beating the Colts, the Chiefs beating the Cowboys, beating the Texans, beating the Chargers, beating the Titans, winning at home against the Broncos, and winning Week 18 at home away against the Raiders. Moving on to the Broncos, I have them going as 9-8. I have them open up the season with a win against the Titans, beating the Colts, losing in the dome to the Chargers, beating the Bengals because the Bengals have no defense, losing a close game to the Eagles, beating the Jets. I have them losing to the Giants. That's just me hoping that, the Giants win some games, I have the Cowboys beating the Broncos for the first time in God knows how long in Denver. I have the Texans beating the Broncos. I got the Broncos beating the Raiders. The Broncos beating the Chiefs at home. The Commanders winning in Week 13. The Broncos beating the Raiders in Week 14. Losing to the Packers in Week 15. Beating the Jags in Week 16. Losing to the Chiefs in Week 17. And ending the season on a W in Week 18 against the Chargers, making them 9-8. And I also have the Chargers. I got them opening the season with a loss in Brazil, I think it is, to the Chiefs. I have them beating the Raiders in Week 2, beating the Broncos in Week 3, losing to the Giants in Week 4, beating the Commanders in Week 5, losing to the Dolphins in Week 6, beating the Colts in Week 7, beating the Vikings in Week 8, beating the Titans in Week 9, losing to the Steelers in Week 10, beating the Jags in Week 11, beating the Raiders Week 13, losing to the Eagles in Week 14, losing to the Chiefs in Week 15, losing to the Cowboys in Week 16, losing to the Texans in Week 17, and losing to the Broncos in Week 18. So I'm going on a little bit of a losing streak to end their season. But then we get to the trash of the division, the Raiders, of course. I got the Raiders opening up with a win against the Patriots, though. Then we got them losing to the Chargers, losing to the Commanders, losing to the Bears, beating Daniel Jones. Hopefully by that time, Daniel Jones isn't on a roster anymore because he's so trash. I don't know why the Colts are starting him. But they beat the Colts. They beat the Titans. They lose to the Chiefs. They beat the Jags. They lose to the Broncos, lose to the Cowboys, lose to the Browns, lose to the Chargers, lose to the Broncos again, lose to the Eagles, lose to the Texans, lose to the Giants, and in their wonderful season, losing to the Chiefs. So they're the doormat of the division. So at the end of it all, I have the Chiefs going 13-4, the Broncos going 9-8, and the Chargers going 9-8, and the Raiders going 4-13. I do think, though, these are subject to change. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the Chiefs just aren't as good as they were last year, or even if, like, the Broncos or Chargers win the division. I don't know. I just don't really think the Chiefs are as good as they used to be. And I think last year they won a lot of fluke games, and they were a lot of close games that they won. So when I'm looking at the Chiefs, this is all subject to change, and, of course, injury can affect this. But I think a floor of 9-8 for the Broncos and Chargers is pretty good.
Interesting. All right. Alex, I'll have you say anything before I go. I don't know if you want to say anything towards
any comments on like what I had to say, Alex?
Yeah, I just
I did not think I did not think
what did happen?
He just got
yo, you hear me? Yo, you know what happened? I tried to save a screenshot and I pressed X by accident. That was my fault. No,
But
but
do you
what
have
I'm
any
saying
comments
is,
on?
yeah, I just really just look at what's kind of been the trend over the past 10 to 20 years when it comes to either certain matchups, and I also really look heavily into like how much better is someone's defense than their offense when it comes to like talent and coaching. So I think a lot of people will kind of just they'll look at a team and just not want them to, or not expect them to win this game, or not want to. And they're not going to bet on say a team they don't like to win, right? So that's why everybody hates the Broncos. Like nobody wants, like, who the hell are they? Like, nah, I want that. I'm used to this team continuing to lose. I'm gonna pick them to lose. That's the mindset people have when it's false when it comes to the Broncos. But my rant over.
Okay. Next time, don't hit the X button.
We got you.
All right. So Justin went, Alex went. We've had some definitely different takes on different types of teams. One had the Chiefs going crazy high. The other one had the Chiefs having one of their worst seasons in the last over 5 to 6 years. And then having a Denver team that has been kind of on the cusp of the last couple years. It's been but then before with the Peyton Manning, after Peyton Manning, they were always there competing somewhat, but never got over the hump. And now I also think that Denver's going to have a really good season. I think it's going to be a little bit better than 9-8. But it would be probably in between the 12-5 and 98 that you guys gave it. So let me go over my picks for right now. Again, what I didn't do was Justin had it all done. I'm going to kind of just wing it as we go. So you guys will be able to check out exactly what I'm picking so far. So right now, we're starting out with the Chiefs. And right off the gate, based on the other teams that we have done, they're already at 8-1. So I think that they legitimately have a shot. Chargers versus Kansas City. I really think the Chargers could potentially get this upset. Sometimes we've seen in the past where the Kansas City week 1 doesn't start off hot out of the gate. They kind of take a couple games to get going. So I definitely going to take the Chargers with this one. Now with Kansas City versus Philly, I picked Kansas City to beat Philly. Kind of just that rematch of the Super Bowl. I think they got their asses kicked really bad. I think that they want to answer the call, especially at home. So I'm going to take them. I got Kansas City beating the Giants. Actually don't think this game is going to be as I think this is going to be a little closer than people think it is. Because I've talked to a couple people that think the Giants are going to get blown out. I think they're actually going to have a okay season by competing wise, not maybe like competing in games, but not winning games. That's how I have it. But I think Baltimore takes down Kansas City. I have Kansas City beating Jacksonville. I have I'm going to change what I had with wait, Justin, did you have Detroit beating Kansas City?
Yes.
You had Detroit beating Kansas City, correct?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to have actually Kansas City beating Detroit for this one. Going the opposite route. Raiders, Kansas City. I have Kansas City sweeping the Raiders this year. Kansas City versus Washington. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I do have Kansas City beating Washington. Kansas City against Denver. I think Denver gets this win at home. I think they split. Kansas City against the Colts. I have Kansas City winning. Now, Kansas City versus Dallas. That is my Cowboys. I would love for us to get a win here, but I have to agree with the take that Alex had with the coaches. It's a big, glaring difference. I'm taking Andy Reid and Kansas City to get the win over Dallas. Kansas City against Houston. I have Kansas City beating Houston. Kansas City versus the Chargers. Again, I'm going to have Kansas City answer the call. Kansas City versus the Titans. Kansas City. And I do think that the last game of the season, right now they're at 11-4. Now, call me crazy. I do think that Denver is going to actually be able to sweep Kansas City because I think Denver is going to play them really tough. So I'm going to take Denver to sweep them. I know I said split earlier, but I actually think that they're going to sweep them. Now, Kansas City obviously sweeping the Raiders, and they end with a 12-5 record. Obviously, not as pretty much in the pack of what they've been doing over the last couple years, but I do think it's going to be a lot more of very, very close games, especially against big-time teams. And again, this is subject to change, just like Justin and Alex said. You never know of injuries and just how Kansas City's playing, because I could see them losing to Detroit here. I could see them losing to Washington here. So I definitely can see them also Houston over here. So they definitely have three legitimate games that I have them winning that they could lose, and it turns into a 9-8 record, like Alex has put it. So that's for Kansas City. Now we're going to be moving on to Denver. Right now, Denver's at a 7-4 record for me with everybody else. I have Denver beating the Tennessee Titans. I have Denver beating the Colts. I think also Denver beats the Chargers. And I'm going to take, because the Bengals defense is absolutely atrocious, I think Denver's offense is going to really give them a run for the money. If it is a shootout, I might take the Bengals, but if Denver's Broncos defense is playing on their money, I'm going to take Denver all day. I have Philly beating Denver. I think it's going to be a close game. I would love to pick Denver here. Secretly, Alex, I'm rooting for Denver on that game because I hate the Eagles. Denver beating the Jets. Broncos beating the Giants. And then I have the Cowboys beating Denver. I think it's going to change. But I would not be surprised if we lay an egg in Denver. We always do. So it's probably going to happen. But I'm gonna stick with my boys. Taking the Cowboys with the win. Houston, I think, takes down Denver. I know the rematch and all that stuff, but I think Houston, as long as they're healthy, can beat Denver. Raiders, Denver, I'm taking Denver. Kansas City, obviously, I picked Denver to sweep Kansas City. I have Washington beating Denver. I think Washington is a really good team. I know the glaring effects on defense, how old they are. They don't really have big-time talents. But if anybody knows how to really run a defense, you could saw what the Cowboys did when Dan Quinn was the guy. Obviously didn't come in the playoffs, but when it was that regular season, those guys were dogs. So I definitely think that Washington's still going to be able to play defense, and with their offense, is going to complement them really well in this game. Denver, I think, beats the Raiders. Here right now, they're at 11-4 record. I think they lose to Green Bay, and I think they are splitting with the Chargers. So I think I'm going to take the Chargers to win at the end of the season. Glaring the fact that if Kansas City doesn't run like this, I think that Denver is probably not really playing. They're going to be probably playing for who's got the first seed or the second seed in their division. But I think the Chargers, they're kind of just going to play really hard. Why not? At the end of the season, no matter what's happening with Denver. So I think I'm going to take the Chargers with the win. So right now we have Denver finishing with an 11-6 record, 5-1 in the division, 10-2 in the conference, 7-0 against losing, 4-6 against winning, 6-3 at home, 5-3 away, and 3-4 against playoff teams. Now we're going to move on to the Chargers here. We got the Chargers taking down Kansas City week 1. Chargers versus the Raiders. I have I'm going to actually go on a limb here. I think the Raiders can get a dub here. In Las Vegas, Monday Night Football, I'm going to take the Raiders with the win here. Then you have Denver beating the Chargers, Chargers beating the Giants, Chargers beating Washington, Chargers beating Miami. Week 7, I have the Chargers beating the Colts. Week number 8, this one is a toss-up for me here, but I'm going to take the Vikings with a win against the Chargers. Chargers versus Titans. Chargers. I think Tennessee is a good team. They're going to have a good young team, but there's a lot of question marks with Ward and everything from top to bottom. So I think they're going to have a really slow year this year for the Titans. Steelers, Chargers, a bit of a toss-up, but I'm actually going to take the Chargers with a win. I really don't know how the Steelers are going to be. I don't trust them. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to be, how healthy he's going to be. I just don't know. And I'm going to take the Chargers. This looks like a game that the Steelers should win with the talent that they have, but I think the Chargers get the job done. Chargers beats Jacksonville. I have the Chargers beating the Raiders after their week 2 loss to them. I have the Eagles beating the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers are up to date with the Eagles. They're the Super Bowl defending champs, and I think they're just a better team. Then I have Kansas City beating the Chargers and the Cowboys beating the Chargers. Finishing off, I have Houston beating the Chargers and the Chargers beating Denver. And I have them at a 10-7 record, which is actually pretty crazy. But again, I usually back then when Peyton was there, we still had Alex Smith, I believe, at that time. And then we had Phillip Rivers. This was kind of where it was at. It was one team that was at the top. Then there was like the two teams like Denver and the I think it was the Chiefs and the Chargers. They were always going back and forth or vice versa. And it was just back and forth, back and forth. Then we had the Raiders with Derek Carr. When he didn't get injured. They were up there. So it was just been back and forth. And I think that's going to be the case, Alex, for your division. I think it's going to be a lot more closer now. Obviously, we know Mahomes is Mahomes, but Bo Nix is coming. And Bo Nix is here to stay, and I really think that that's going to really make a difference. And I just think it's going to be a 3-team division. And I think Denver, you guys are going to be able to compete with everybody really in the AFC as long as defense is healthy and they work their ass off, and as long as Bo Nix stays healthy and does what he's supposed to do. Finishing off, I'm going to have, I believe, the Raiders. It looks like they're almost all done because I've kind of put them kind of playing like crap. I have them losing to New England week 1. I have them losing to the Chargers. I have them beating the Chargers in week 2. I have them losing to Washington in week 3. I have the Bears beating them in week 4. I have the Colts making a big win in week 5. I have the week 6 Raiders beating the Titans. Week 7 Kansas City beating the Raiders. After their bye, they play Jacksonville. I have actually Jacksonville beating the Raiders. Denver then plays at home against the Raiders. Have Denver Cowboys beat the Raiders. I'm actually going to go out on a limb here. I think at this point, Shedeur Sanders is playing for the Browns, and I'm going to have the Raiders based on experience, and it's at in Las Vegas, so I'm going to take the Raiders. Raiders against the Chargers winning. Denver against the Raiders, Denver winning, and then Philly beats them, Houston beats them, the Giants, and Kansas City. So they go on a 6-game losing streak to end the season after their win against the Browns. So that's pretty much it. I have them going 3-14. Again, I think this is a rebuilding year for them. I think they compete in a lot of these games. I have them losing. I just don't think they can get over the hump because the teams that they're playing are really good teams and they're playoff contenders. So that's for me. Again, to recap, 12-5 for Kansas City, 11-6 for Denver, 10-7 for the Chargers, Raiders 3-14. I think that last game of the season is really going to hold on for the Broncos and the Chargers. Who's going to get that second spot in the playoffs? And I'm going to take Denver because I think they're the better team. Any of you guys have anything to say on my picks?
Yeah, one thing about Mahomes that I want to add too is if you look statistically, you look at the numbers. Hell, you could even watch the film and look at advanced analytics and all that, right? Mm-hmm. Mahomes has not been the same quarterback since Eric Bieniemy left the Chiefs and since Mike Kafka left the Chiefs. His best years came when Mike Kafka was his quarterback's coach and Eric Bieniemy was his OC, and that's when he was throwing 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns every year, 4,800 yards, 48 touchdowns every year, right? That was during those times. The last 2 years, he's barely thrown for more than 20 touchdowns, and you've seen a lot of the explosive plays kind of vanish, right? And he's running a lot more, which he's not even that fast. I don't know why people can't tackle this guy unless they're afraid to hit him because of ref. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it's always like 3rd and 31, and this guy somehow gets a first down. Outside of that, a lot of his ability through the air, even through his mechanics, and it could be, attributed to crappy wide receiver play too. Regardless, that offense just hasn't been the same. And I get it. They win games more through defense right now. But even then, last season, they actually had their 18th ranked defense in total yards allowed. Like, they're okay in defense, too. Like, that just goes to show you that I'm going on a tangent. Point is, Mahomes hasn't been the same since Bieniemy and Eric and Mike Kafka were coaching him. And his numbers have gone down. And his play has gone down. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and you think that's going to be the reason why? No, you're good, and you think that's going to be the reason why the Chiefs are down the tubes this year, and then obviously the blaring questions on wide receiver and everything else, and on defense.
Yeah, I don't, and again, it's not. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. He's the worst quarterback ever. I'm just saying like he's going to kind of play how he has been the last few years, but there isn't going to be really anything else to lean on. By that I mean the defense and refs. Like the receiver core maybe gets a little. Even then, Rasheed Rice might be suspended. So I guess if I'm going to explain why I think the Chargers are going to go where they're going to, I guess we might as well just, talk about that too, right? They're just going to build on another season of being really strong in the run game and having strong defense. But the Chargers, they're going to get bounced embarrassingly in the first round. That's what I can guarantee you.
I don't even think they make the playoffs though, because I think that your division is so locked. Well, the way I have it, that I think your division is so locked, those three top teams, that they can't fit all three of you. And I think with the AFC, how well it's going, I mean, I'm looking at the here. I have the Ravens are going to be probably making the playoffs. I'm going to take that the Steelers are going to make it just based on they always do. The Bills are going to make it. I think the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are going to make it. I think you guys are going to make it. Denver. I think the Texans are going to make it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now, and then you put like a random team that gets in there. So you're looking at 6. I don't think the Chargers make it. One, because they're 3-3 in their division, and you got to have a winning. You really got to have a winning record or the best record in your division. So I think it's going to be hard to get 3 teams out of your division to get in there. The NFC is a little bit different, but I think that the AFC is just too packed, and you don't never know with Miami. They suck in December, but you never know. Like they could still make the playoffs on a crappy record, or on a good record. Just they won all their games before it became freezing, and then they just. You know what they do. 2-0 becomes like a frozen icicle. I can't throw the ball.
I don't see Miami making the playoffs. I mean, especially look at their secondary. The O-line and their secondary.
But again, you never know with them in that division. The way the Bills is, like you never know. They probably could.
Because New England and the Jets. I like when New England did this offseason, but I just don't think they're a playoff. They're still going to be a
Justin
year.
Irv thinks differently.
Irv with his Lamar Odom take of the day. How do you feel about that? He said the Patriots are making the playoffs.
They're not making the playoffs. I like what they're building. I like Mike Vrabel. I just don't think they're not really that good on.
I got them going 6-11, Alex. I got them going 6. I think that's fair.
I think it's fair too. If I'll look, deeper into their schedule too. I don't remember off the top of my head, but 6-11 sounds like somewhere I'd put them. Only because I like Travion Henderson, I like Drake May, and I like the Mike Vrabel hiring. That was a really good hiring, but I also just don't think their receivers are kind of bad. They have old ass Stephon Diggs, and they also don't have. They're not really good on either side of the ball when it comes to the trenches. They signed Milton Williams. I think they signed. They drafted Will Campbell. So I think they're starting. I think they just need maybe 2 more pieces on either side of the ball in free agency to draft next year in the trenches, and they'll start to look like a playoff team. But right now, no.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Again, like I said, this is just picks. This is just predictions. We'll hold these until the end of the season. Maybe midway, we'll take a podcast, see where we're at. But again, I think all 3 of us made some pretty valid points on why you think that the Chiefs are going to have a down year this year. Why we still think that they're going to have a good year. Maybe not the best, but they're going to have a good year. And I think we all agree, at least I agree, that I think the Broncos are going to have a really good year. It's really all on consistency, and can Bo Nix play as well as he played last year and exceed that? And I think he can do that. But again, we all know last year was his first year, correct?
Yeah, it was his rookie year.
We all know the second year jitters that happened with CJ Stroud. He had a great, miraculous first season, and then second year went kind of whatever. But obviously, that was injuries. There's a lot of people that were missing, things that come into play. So, and that's the whole question about Jaden Daniels with Washington. Is he going to be able to elevate his play? And I think he will. I think he's one of the best in this draft class, along with Bo Nix. And then Caleb Williams, same thing. He had a bit of up and down one. So there's a lot of question marks with a lot of teams that could potentially be good, but it really just depends on their quarterbacks and their consistency on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I think the NFC, that 7 seed spot's going to be – I think it's, NFC is going to be top heavy.
Obviously, it always is.
But it's going to be – for a fight for that 7 seed is going to be a bloodbath, because I got the Giants in the mix for it, right?
Ooh,
But I
just-
also have Arizona. Arizona went 8-9 last year.
I think they're going to be much better this year.
Yeah, their defense is going to be nasty, and that's the thing with Jonathan Gannon is he's building that team based on what they had in Philadelphia, which is strong run game, and they have James Conner. They drafted O lineman and through the defense, and they drafted Walter Nolan on their line. So I think they're going to be in the mix. Atlanta, and I mean, in my wildest dreams, if I'm really stretching it, even the Panthers too, because man, Bryce Young went from like I've never seen a transformation like that before, especially in the middle of the season from a quarterback.
Yeah.
But there's just again the Panthers did set the league record, so all-time record for most points given up in a season on defense. I think their defense is still pretty bad, but man, they gave Bryce Young Tet McMillan, and now he's year 2 in the same system. We got to see what Carolina does. Seattle's another one, 10-17 last year that just barely made it. But I think it's between Atlanta, the Giants, and the Cardinals are really going to be fighting for that 7 seed spot.
I agree. Justin, anything to add before we kick it off here?
I mean, all I'm gonna say is, man, I hope the Giants make the playoffs, man. We need some type of hope in New York, man. Need some.
Yeah, because doesn't look like the Mets and the Yankees are going to help us.
Well, you already know who I got winning the chip in 2026. And it starts with a K.
I know. Yeah. White Sox?
Knicks! The damn Knicks! Well, that's
Wait, what you mean? It's not going to be Orlando Magic this year? What you talking about?
What?
The funny thing is the Magic can actually win a chip, though. They got better.
They really do. I like Magic, how they are with Paulo Banchero. Like they got a good squad. It's really just about experience. They need to, and I think last year was good for them. And we'll see. We'll get into the NBA as it gets closer.
Yeah, it's football season now.
Yeah, it's football season. But again, Alex, I appreciate you coming on, as I could say, formerly known as Flex Time. Appreciate it. And again, we'll definitely have you on in the next couple shows and stuff like that to talk more game. All right, I appreciate it.
I would love to join like regular season. I really appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you being tolerant to the fact that I'm just a little bit weird right now. So
nah, you good, dude. Don't worry about it.
You know what I'm saying?
When Justin said that a Lamar Odom shit, I was dying. I couldn't stop.
I will stand on this hill. I said nothing crazy, even though I smoked earlier. Regarding my football takes, I said nothing crazy.
That's crazy. All righty. Well, we're gonna end the show here today. I appreciate Justin coming on, bringing his boy Alex, and again, I appreciate Alex for jumping on. This is Recap Tuesday, Season 8, Episode number 21, powered by StreamYard, where StreamYard makes the dream yard go. We'll see you guys all on Friday for Season 8, Episode number 22. Peace out, guys.
Peace out. Take care.